Today we're going to be learning how to solve two-step inequalities. Let's start by talking about some strategies for solving inequalities. Solving inequalities is a lot like solving equations. First, we use inverse operations to isolate the variable. Any operations we do must be performed on both sides of the inequality, just like with equations. And lastly, anytime you multiply or divide by a negative number on both sides of the inequality, you need to flip the inequality symbol. Let's look at our first example. 2 minus 4t is less than negative 10. We'll start by using inverse operations to isolate the variable t. First, we'll subtract 2 from both sides. When we simplify, on the left, the 2's cancel, leaving us with just negative 4t, and on the right, negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12. Now we need to isolate t by dividing by negative 4 on both sides. Remember, we also need to flip the inequality symbol since we divided by a negative number. To simplify, on the left, the negative 4's cancel and we're left with just t, and on the right, negative 12 divided by negative 4 is positive 3. Our final answer is t is greater than 3. In our second example, we have negative 22 is less than or equal to 2s minus negative 8. Remember, subtracting a negative number is the same as adding a positive, so let's rewrite 2s minus negative 8 as 2s plus 8. Now we can solve using inverse operations. Since we see plus 8, we'll need to subtract 8 on both sides to cancel it out. Simplifying on the left gives us negative 30, and on the right we're left with 2s. Now we need to divide by 2 on both sides. Since 2 is positive, we don't need to flip the inequality symbol this time. To simplify, negative 30 divided by 2 is negative 15, and on the right, 2 divided by 2 cancels out and leaves us with just s. So we have negative 15 is less than or equal to s as our final answer. Sometimes it's easier to read answers with the variable written first, like this. Either of these would be correct final answers. Great! Moving on to our next example, we have a over negative 2 plus 7 is greater than 3. We'll again use inverse operations to isolate the variable a. We'll start by subtracting 7 on both sides. Doing that cancels out the 7's on the left, leaving us with a over negative 2. On the right, 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Since our variable is being divided by negative 2, we'll need to multiply by negative 2 on both sides to isolate a. But wait, since we are multiplying by a negative number on both sides of our inequality, we need to flip the inequality symbol. On the left, the negative 2's cancel and we're left with a, and on the right, negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8. So our final answer is a is less than 8. For our last example, we have 8.5 is greater than or equal to 3.4 minus j. We'll start by subtracting 3.4 on both sides. On the left, 8.5 minus 3.4 is 5.1. And on the right, the 3.4's cancel out, so we're left with negative j. It's important that this is negative j, since there was a subtraction sign in front of the j in the line above. We want to get rid of the negative symbol in front of j. How do we do that? We can multiply both sides by negative 1. But remember, since we're multiplying by a negative number, we'll need to flip the inequality symbol again. So on the left, 5.1 times negative 1 gives us negative 5.1. And on the right, we get just positive j. So our final answer is negative 5.1 is less than or equal to j. Or j is greater than or equal to negative 5.1. Great job solving two-step inequalities. Keep up the good work.